Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I'm your host for today, Brian, usually co-host, but the main host for today. And I'm joined by Jack, first person to be a guest and then return. Ben
Wow.
and Dylan are both, busy with other stuff, quite understandably. A free podcast that we do might not become more important than other obligations or being sick. So you're stuck with the two of us. Jack, how you doing?
Doing all right, Brian. For being stuck with us, it could be a lot worse, I think. So,
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, they're split on the other podcast. Much like the merged tribe got split into two groups, we're now split into two podcasts. So yeah, they're feasting on ribs while we're here
Must be nice.
plotting and scheming
Right.
and all that. But yeah, I guess first off, what do you think of the episode? Just like high level, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, good content. I think it is a little annoying. This is like just the new era of Survivor, of course, but it is, bringing it back to, okay, we're going to split you guys up again now and just randomized. And then there's such a big luck element of that, which we saw immediately with the split.
Yes.
Super interesting dynamics, though. I think that was fun to watch, and there was a lot of just like high level strategy of like Saul finding that advantage that he had to give, and the will to somebody. I think just in general, very interesting dynamics. Fun to watch for sure. I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah, I think I've been very vocal about how I don't like this twist. I think, I think it's a bad twist, quite frankly. I think it's very, Survivor's not fair. Let's get that out of the way. Not a fair game. You're going into this game knowing it's not a fair game. But I do feel like when I'm forgetting his name, but Survivor 42, Matt, he got put on to one team. That team lost. They didn't get whatever peanut butter jelly sandwiches, whatever the reward was, so they get sent to another beach, and he didn't bring his bag because, he thought he was going to come back to the merged tribe, and he doesn't have a shot in the dark. So he can't play his shot in the dark. And he's the only like one, similar to Rebecca in this episode where she's like the only one. I was like, this is just very unfair. Like, you can't like really get around it. And I thought, similarly here, bad luck of the draw. But then, Tiana got super unlucky because it was double twist. She had two twists come down on her.
There's like a level of luck that already is in Survivor as a whole, right? Like who you're paired with, who you end up gelling with, right? Like what are the alliances like that you can control versus can't control? There's a lot of that already. And then to add in other elements of like not even other elements, like of course there is some elements that you can add in and that makes it the game. But like to double it up like that, obviously somebody's gonna get the short end of the stick, and it was clearly Tiana.
Yeah, and so I look, it's not fair. I'm not going to be someone who's standing here like, wow, this is unjust, because there's no justice in Survivor. Whatever happens. Like you said, there's tons of luck in the draw and where you get assigned to the original tribe, which I don't think worked out well for her in the beginning. Anyways, right. So she was like just so screwed to be with her original tribe, already at the bottom of that original tribe, and she gets voted off. But yeah, I just let the players play the game. Jack.
Yes.
Totally. You cast these people presumably because you're like, they will be good television. They'll make a good episode. Let them. You don't have to railroad them into an outcome that, is especially brutal, that it's to miss the jury as well.
Yeah, that hurt. I didn't realize we were at that point, and I was like, oh man, like this still is like the final. I thought Rome was the final cutoff, to be honest. And
right,
when Jeff was like, also, I'm like, oh dude, like I thought the jury was starting here. So that's tough. That's a tough added level.
Yep. So I don't know why they're like, this is so good, we need to do it every time.
Yeah.
I kind of understood when they were like, well, we have to do a double tribal because we have so many people in so few days. They didn't even do that this time.
No, right.
It's just
I
like
thought it was happening, right? That's what I thought was going to happen.
Me too. So yeah, we'll get more into it, but that's my first like. I hate this twist, and I'm glad a lot of people on Twitter and online also are finally coming around to my like, this is a bad twist take that I've had on this show ever since they incorporated it. This actually was the twist that made me like reevaluate like my watching of Survivor. We're like, okay, the Survivor I love, it's dead, gone, buried on the beach in Fiji. This is a new show that I still like, and it has some connections to the old show. You know, there's a shared lineage, but it is not Survivor classic. You know,
No, for sure.
it really is a new era. You know,
And that's what's I don't even know if you can say it's buried on the beach in Fiji. I think it's like still when they were traveling is like the good era of Survivor, you know. But like,
maybe buried in a beach in Samoa. That's when they first started back filming.
It's Samoa. It's like there's a piece of it in Pearl Islands. There's a piece of it in Vanuatu. You know, like all the good places, of course. But like, yeah, and I know that like there are some people. I don't know, man. There are pros and cons to both old and new Survivor, but like. I definitely continue to see. Maybe we're old heads now, you know.
Yes,
like
definitely that.
But like it doesn't. I don't know. Like if it ain't broke, you know, there was still. I feel like that's just an unnecessary twist, right? And like you said, like they keep bringing it back, and I'm like the people that are like passionate about it are like, yeah, please stop. Like please stop doing this. Like nobody likes this added element of trust that you have to like not trust, luck that you're putting in for some reason. So agreed.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, as with like everything these days, like it's like a postmodern, like meta recontextualization Survivor, like where all the players are so smart. And you know, I'm saying this as someone who hosts a Survivor podcast, as someone who considers himself a very like learned Survivor watcher, someone who really cares about the history of the show. But like everybody's an expert, everybody's a super fan, everyone's trying to subvert the, you know, preconceived notions of what works and what doesn't, to the point where it's like there's just so much randomness in the show now where it's like you can't even go there and be like, okay, this is how things should be, because there are other players who are going to be like, I know how this should be, and I'm going to intentionally flip the script on it, you know. And it's like, you know, which is fine, but it's just like, I don't know. It makes everything feel very random and like uneven, in my opinion. But like you said, might just be an old head, might just be someone who's complaining because, you know, it's different now and it was better back in the day.
Which is unfortunate because it was. I'm telling you, objectively, fight me on it.
Here's the thing. I watched Australian Survivor, Heroes versus Villains recently, an incredible season. And despite the name, you might think that it was all stars. It was not. It was like over half all-stars and then half new players, which is very strange, but Australian Survivor does their own thing. But a lot of those new players were not like super fan experts of Survivor, and it made it feel more like Survivor. You know what I'm trying to say?
For sure. It's like I'm just imagining like you have your mainstays and then you have like 4 Kyles, right? Like those are the people that you there, you know, because and like that's what I said to my girlfriend the other night, like when we were watching. I'm like, it's refreshing to see Kyle because he like doesn't have this like I'm gonna game the game mentality, which everybody has nowadays. So I guess that's a pro of him, and he has some strategy in him too, but it's kind of like organic. Like this is a strategy that like makes sense for me, not like the game is making, you know, and that's I think fun for viewers, right? Because not everybody is like you or I or any other people that have a Survivor podcast, you know, like it is intriguing to watch that like net new perspective on something when they're out there and like not have this already biased opinion based on what happened in season 36 or 32 or 46, you know, like it. So that's refreshing.
Yeah. Or even someone like Rome, who's like way out there playing like in a crazy game, but like you know, I feel like part of what's bad is like everyone knows what the mistakes are, so they're like less prone to make them. Rome, I don't know if he was a super fan, but he didn't seem afraid to make mistakes and make social faux pas and play sloppy. And to me, that was very entertaining. And, you know, I'm going to miss Rome on this season.
Sure.
You know?
As much as I hated watching him, I completely agree. Like he is a nice personality, a nice character. I will say, like, there are a lot of people in like the Survivor community, right? The real like the small like I'm obsessed with the show community that are super fans. And I could say with certainty that if you put them on an island and you were like, you have to do this, they would completely crack. And I think honestly, we're seeing Andy to a degree, right? Like we're watching Andy write names in the sand at 4 a.m. So like that's,
yeah, I'd be like, that'd be me. I know.
I'm like that's also me. In fairness, I'm looking at a coconut tree for 20 minutes, like visualizing names. I guarantee it. And then someone from production's gonna walk up, and that's gonna be the cover of not the cover, but like a flagship part of this next episode. I guarantee it. But it's there's a level of like, how do you react in that situation? So and that's what's intriguing, I think, about Kyle, about Rome's, about people like that.
Yeah, more of them, please, Survivor. We don't need, as a super fan, we don't need people like me as much on the show, as much as we need, just interesting personalities. But that's a great segue. Andy alone on the beach, feeling very betrayed by his Gata, 3, realizing that somehow he got put on the bottom of this, even though he's been, lockstep with Sam, at least it seems, for the entirety of the game. Had to hurt. Couldn't have been a fun feeling, but also it opens up something great where I think Genevieve and Andy, both people on the bottom, both people who feel like they've lost the allies that they were close with. One, Rome got voted off. One, Sam betrayed Andy by allowing his name to be thrown out. They come together, and I think they're well positioned to take control of this game. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Andy is in a great position right now. And I think I want to touch on those conversations that he had on the beach, right? Because he had one with Genevieve. He had one with Saul where he basically was like, what happened there, right? And Saul somehow, and having to do damage control, got away with like potentially an alliance out of it, which was insane.
I really like Saul. I'm big on him.
Me too. Big Saul fan, especially after the edit he got this episode. I thought that was fun to watch, right? Like fun. Obviously, we can touch on that at Tribal, but like that was a blast for me to watch. Like I rewound and like would watch his reactions over and over again. But
that's hilarious.
If I think there's a good opportunity for him to kind of play the middle, especially if Andy and Genevieve start pulling something and they're in there, like I think Teeny is still in a weird spot. I think like Andy does seem to be in a position where like he doesn't know, or Sam and at least Sierra don't know that he's like pissed at them, which if you look back at the tribe that did win that challenge, you can see, or not the tribe, I guess the group that won that challenge, right? It is Survivor, but that won that challenge. I'm like, for Andy, this is a really weird like collection of people, right? You have Genevieve, you have Saul, you have Teeny, and then you have your two former like ride or die 1 and 2, So that was interesting, and I wish they showed more of him like interacting in that setting, aside from him getting called out essentially for looking for stuff.
Well, do we think if they lose, Andy flips right to that red tribe and votes Sam out? Probably, right?
I think so. Or Sierra. I think that's I talked about that. Like, do you flip to get rid of Sam, or do you take out his ally and force him to work with you, type of thing? Right?
Yeah, that's interesting too. Yeah, that is a valid strategy that I think people should use more. Where it's like, well, me and this person are close, but they're also close with that person. Let me get rid of that.
In order to make them closer with me, let's get rid of the person that they are also close with.
Yeah, an example. Sophie, Winners at War. Tony voted Sophie out so that Sarah would only have Tony to work with, going forward. And it basically was the move that propelled him to the win, in my opinion. Yep. I thought Sophie was the only one who could have potentially taken Tony down post-merge, and he got her before she got him.
Yep. That's how it works, though, right? It's whoever strikes first successfully, right? Because you can strike first and flame out, but that's what I want to see. Like, are Andy and Sam going to turn against each other now? Like, is it just going to be like we'll just roll with like whatever, kind of put it on neutral for now, and we'll figure out what happens next? But I guess we'll see.
No, definitely. So, immunity challenge, or I don't even know how to put it, team/immunity challenge. Whatever. Kyle wins, but he came in third, technically. but he wins because he's on the losing team.
Was that like explained poorly? By the way, I didn't know that he won individual immunity at all until Jeff was like,
it
"I
was
was individual." And I was like,
it was very confusing. So like,
okay.
obviously it was set up. You're playing to win the team immunity for everybody.
"Yeah,
But if you are part of the team that loses, but you beat everyone on the team that loses, you win immunity.
you're still safe." Okay.
So Kyle has 2 immunities, but he would have lost if had this been an individual immunity challenge.
Right.
So
That's tough. That's an additional target on your back for that, right? You have 2 individual immunities, you win them both. Even you win them both. You know, that's tough.
Yeah, and I mean, it counts, I guess. I would like when they do the 2 teams for immunity here, I count those like, okay, that's
count for sure. Yeah,
that counts. But what is like this? It's like they're an asterisk here. Does he have 1.5 immunities? Like, I don't know.
He could play it as an asterisk, but anybody who wants to target him can easily be like, Kyle won. Kyle's had the immunity, So I think there are some moments also, speaking of when he won the second time and he just goes for a fist bump from Jeff, like really subtle things that you see in there. You're like, this dude is like, he's not simple is the wrong word because he's not simple. He's
down to earth.
He's not Andy's level of anxiety. Quite the opposite, actually. He's Andy's counter, honestly, from a cool, calm, collected perspective.
Right. He's enjoying his time out there.
Right? He is, exactly. Right. As everybody should.
But so good for Kyle there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, the ribs seems like a good reward. I feel like that'd be fun. I feel like you'd need the protein at that point. But Saul finds this advantage, and it's a give someone else an advantage. It's like a choice tree. He has to choose who to give it to, and then they have to choose down what the advantage is. But
the layers,
the layers of it. But it is very obvious what was going to happen. I feel like right? Like there's no way he was gonna give that to anyone else.
I mean, if he did, he would be doing the exact thing we've already complained about in this episode, which is like trying to game the game. I know what I'm supposed to do based on the luck of the draw, but what even would have happened? Right? Like, would they have just been like, I'm just blocking her vote and we're just doing this?
Yeah, it could have. It like give it to Sue, nothing happens.
Right.
Carolyn, nothing happens. Gabe, nothing different happens. Tiana blocks Gabe's vote and tells Kyle, and
we're doing it.
Maybe that could have been something, but
that was interesting. It could have been.
Yeah, but he couldn't have known. He couldn't have known that there was like a rift forming over there. So imperfect information. This was the only move for him to make. It felt like.
Yeah, and he did it, right, which was good. Yeah. And now what'll be interesting is to see whether or not he divulges that in the next episode or at all, right? Maybe it's at FTC. Who knows? Like, it'll be interesting.
I guess it'll depend, I guess, how everything goes, right?
Yeah, true.
If he's able to capitalize on this, he'll be like, this was a move that I made and it was great. If it blows up in his face somehow, he'll be like, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Right.
Yeah. But we'll have to see there. I really enjoyed his acting at Trial. Very fun.
What's it called? What is that? I have watched that probably 3 or 4 times, even just from
it's from one of us.
Yeah,
so good.
Who did it? Did not crack a bit. And you knew those producers were zoomed in on his face, waiting for him to just like smirk or wink or something.
Yes.
And nothing.
I don't know if I would have been like, to the camera, probably been like
little Jim
Halpert.
Yeah, agreed.
We gave that, but not Saul. Maybe he's better than I would be.
Same. I'm far too cocky to just be
like Gabe making faces to the camera while he's hugging people, like that. Totally.
Oh my god! I was very like, fun. That is Gabe energy, though. It really is. Like that's now I understand what Tiana was saying about him a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess there is a very interesting thing here where Tiana's like, okay, they're going to target us if we're 5 and 6. Obviously, we need to vote Gabe out. But Carolyn had a really great point where she's like, yes, they are. Are they going to target you and I?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not. Like,
She's
and
right.
then, the game opens back up once you get a couple of, the blue people out, then it's going to shift again and they'll be in a good position. So I loved that from Carolyn. When she said that, I was like, all right, she's a real gamer here.
It's funny you say that. I said that I had the same reaction, but like I've struggled to like her for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the way she presents herself or like how she talks, but like I think her saying that was like a nice moment of like, oh, she does get it. She's thinking ahead here. Like she doesn't feel the need to play too aggressively. And I guess it falls into the category of somebody who knows that they don't need to like, just kind of light a fire under everybody for no reason. Like somebody like Rome, for example, so it's articulating the different game styles, and I think she's doing what she's doing well, which is fun. I think she could be poised for like a big run here.
Yeah, and there's so much value in Survivor of your allies getting voted off and it not being your fault.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I love this person. They were loyal to me. I want to vote for them to win. At the end, like, part of my shtick on this show is bringing up old seasons. So I'll do this. Savage getting voted off by Kelly Wentworth in Second Chance by an idol, and Jeremy not having to betray Savage was huge for Jeremy in his win, because Savage goes to that jury like, Jeremy and I are best friends. Like, I had his back, he would have had my back, and Jeremy is like, yeah, I would have definitely, but I don't think he would have. Yeah.
Right.
I think Jeremy's a savvy player. He's a winner. He would have eventually voted Savage off, and then you risk having someone very pissed off. So Carolyn's like identifying this and being like, well, we can lose some of our numbers, and that's actually a net positive for us.
Yes.
Especially if we're on the wrong side of the vote with them.
There is a value in trimming the fat. That's what it comes down to. It's a addition by subtraction type of thing.
Yeah.
So and it'll be interesting now. The one thing is I want to see how this is perceived to the other folks, right? Where they say, we don't want to be, is it Tuku strong, right? Like we don't want to be, and now the irony is that they still are technically, right? Like there still are 4 of them.
But much less threatening now.
Much less threatening. Yeah. 4 is
4, 3, and 3.
Right, which is you'll take that, right? And does that mean that a Tuku is probably going home? Maybe, but
yeah, still might. But
is it 4-4-3?
4-3-3, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's I don't know, like that. I don't. It is much less threatening. It'll be interesting to see.
Or 4, yeah, 4-4.
It is 4-4-3. Yeah, I was like, I'm thinking, I'm like Andy Sam
messed me up.
Yeah. No, all good. Yeah, freaking Jeff's luck twists is it's. I'm gonna put the blame on that, but I think that still is like that everything's even for the most part, right? It depends now on where this 3 goes, or do the 4 stay together? It sure doesn't seem like it, right? It seems like they're together by happenstance at this point. So, it's gonna be a sloppy merge, and I hope it is.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see how it goes. It's been a pretty crazy season, I feel like, so far.
For sure.
So I want to get, what's your opinion on them making her wait to the, like, she has to participate in an entire tribal council. We're being like, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Could be me. And then she gets to leave.
And she's like, actually, never mind. Yeah. Safety without power. See, I had that.
Is that funnier, or should she be able to leave? Like, because there was a point where I thought Jeff was setting her up to like,
same. Yeah.
When he's like, oh, you're on the bottom. There's nothing you can do about that. You've had such bad luck.
Actually,
I thought that was like, actually, I'm leaving. I thought, but no, it didn't happen. I was like, oh, maybe she doesn't have it. But then, they had it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on making her wait for the whole tribal council?
I think it is. I mean, I thought it was excessive, to be honest, but I do think like there is enough value in like you don't want to do that early, because then that's like, then what do you do, right? Like then it's conversations about it goes live real early. Right?
Yeah, it does what happened anyways, but earlier.
But I almost think that was intentional from frankly, from like a conversation standpoint. Like you want to catch them off guard, you want to give them as little time as possible to think about this, and then you make them vote, right? And I think that's what ends up happening here. But I do think it is weird, like to put her in that position and like go through the thing as if she's going to be a part of the thing, right? Which I mean, she would have gone home borderline unanimously. So.
I would imagine
unanimously. Yeah, exactly.
If you can't agree to pull off a move, then they were just all gonna just dump on her and
exactly
whatever happens.
And that's right, and that's what would have happened for sure. But you're right, like it because of that. Like, why was she there the whole time? Like, did she need to be there the whole time because she'd gone a little earlier? Like Jeff's like, it's time to vote. And she's like, actually, Jeff, I'm like that. Like now we have another 10 minutes of tribal. I looked at that, like we paused for a commercial and I was like, oh, we still have a half hour left. And they just got to
I did too. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. But, when it was, that I was like, okay, yeah, she's definitely leaving.
Yeah. Same.
Why would it be so long? If we were going to do this. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess at the end of the day, sucks for Tiana. Maybe, maybe people being so upset will give her a chance to be in season 50, second chance. We'll see. This is a tough season to, I feel like, get on to season 50 because it's like just too far enough away from it to where people are like, oh, that's like not top of mind, but not so far that it's like, oh yeah, I'd love to see that person from a few years ago,
Yeah.
This is the awkward season. Yeah. So I guess we'll see. Though I do think Rome will be on season.
I was just gonna say, I guarantee you Rome will be there. I would love for them to stick Rome and Saul together, depending on how he does, right? Like that would be who knows on like that. But
Survivor does love to do that.
They do. They do.
These people didn't get along on their first season.
We're putting them together.
Yeah. Jerry and Tina all the way back in the original
Lost. Yeah.
Being on the same tribe, Philip and Francesca and
Francesca.
Francesca. They love it. They love doing that. So if they didn't do Heroes versus Villains theme, I'm sure they would have put Randy and Sugar on the same tribe together on that season. That would have been fun.
Would have been wild.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Like if they bring Rome back, maybe they'll bring Saul back, and But
that's all I need. That's enough for me. I'm happy to just watch and I could watch an hour and a half on just them interacting with each other. I think honestly, if you did a producer's cut of that at CBS, I would watch that.
I really need season 50 to be at least 24 players. If we're gonna do 3 tribes, put 2 more on each, and give us like a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a big season. 50's huge.
Yeah, so, biggest season ever. Like
literally,
say that. Be like that's the whole thing. Right. We're bringing so many people.
Biggest season ever, and it's just like 26 people. And it's like whoa, like look at all these awesome players from whenever, right? I wonder if they're. I feel like, and this is obviously pure speculation. I know nothing, but like, is there a reality in, because you hear Jeff talking about, especially on this season, I haven't noticed it in past seasons, but he talks this season a lot about like the new era, I'm sure this is probably out there and I'm just blind to it, but is there speculation that this would be just new versus old? Like, is that a realistic thing?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think it's possible. It's very hard, like, to gauge what Jeff thinks, because I feel like he's just like very in his own like bubble of this is Survivor, this is what we're doing, this is what people are liking. And I feel like I've talked a lot of shit on Jeff on this podcast. I feel like he's very out of touch with maybe what bigger fans want, but maybe I'm out of touch with what casual fans watch, or want. I don't know. But I think like there's so many ideas that people have of what season 50 could be that I'm like just mentally preparing myself to be like, it's just gonna be 18 players, 3 tribes of 6, exactly the same as every other new era season. Like I'm preparing for that, Jack.
No, you're right. Earn the merge, like nothing will change.
There's gonna be like maybe 5 players from before new era. Like it's gonna be like super lopsided, and you're gonna be like, oh god.
And you're gonna be so angry the whole time,
Yeah.
as like again, as old heads, right? Just
I'm
watching
just ready for Jeff to disappoint me.
watching
You know?
old era dudes be picked off pre-merge, and it's all new era for the end.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be throwing things
That's
up.
what usually happens in these.
No, you're right. You're definitely not wrong.
But you know what? It's better now because there are so many other shows that are bringing back old Survivor legends to where I'm at least like, okay, like I'll see them on something, I'll see them on the Traders. I'll see them on Deal or No Deal Island. Like
I was just gonna say Suri, right? Like she's everywhere. So like
Shree's on Big Brother.
Yeah,
And
right.
the Traders, the Anonymous had Sandra's daughter who's on Australian Survivor, Nina, on it. Like they'll probably dip into the Survivor casting pool at some point. I think they had Xavier from Big Brother also on that show. Like there are so many other shows that like honor those old school players. Johnny Fairplay, Richard Hatch are on House of Villains,
which is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's fine. I'd love to see them on Survivor, all these players, but if I can't have that, I'd rather.
If I can't, give me something to ingest with them in it, right? Yeah. Because they've made names for themselves, and that's what's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Boston Rob and Tony and Jeremy are going to be on the next season of The Traders together.
Right.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
I know they're all on Winners at War, but like that's cool,
Insane. That's gonna get me to watch, like that alone is like those are the people that I watched like not break the game but play it so well, but I'm with you and that's fun.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we should cover before we get out of here? I think we did it pretty good for a half-hour show.
Agreed, for sure. I think we covered everything. I think now we're at the merge, right? This is now like, let's see what happens. I'm excited, man. I really do think it's gonna be sloppy, and I want to see if Andy reverts back to like day one Andy.
I would love I don't know. I am rooting for Andy in the sense that it's like it would be a very fun story to see him go from completely out of sorts to winning the game. That'd be great. But Teeny is obviously my winner pick. I want Teeny to win the game still.
Biased. Yeah,
Teeny keeps being safe. I love it. Amulet, now this tribe thing, keep whatever. Jeff, keep giving us twists as long as it keeps my winner pick safe.
As long as it saves Teeny, I don't care. Teeny was like also I am in a group chat with like a group that played with Teeny, and they were like some people were like Teeny just unserious at this point. Like just like the last two reward challenges, Teeny has just gotten like borderline shit faced.
The potato salad.
Yeah, well, the potato salad plus like what was it like just chugging some wine, chugging some beers with the boys,
I love it.
I'm like if you're that talk about living it up while you're out there, similar to Saul. This is Kyle, right? Like that's Teeny right now. So I'm having fun watching Teeny have fun. I'll say that.
Same. And like I said, Teeny is very disappointed. There's no potato salad on the Amulet trip. Got potato salad. I think the last two rewards. So
I think the last two, Teeny was pumped. You could tell.
Love it. So happy for Teeny. All right, Jack. We host another show together on Wicked Good Sports, which is called At the Buzzer. Talking about basketball. Not much Survivor talk on there, but if you're a basketball fan, please go check it out. Again, Wicked Good Sports is the channel. Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here?
Best place to follow me is on Twitter. You'll hear me tweet some Survivor things here and there, but definitely more basketball focused. And that's at Jack_Tiernan. So follow me there.
Awesome. Yeah, the time recording, I think there's a game 7:30 tonight, right?
There is. That's right.
So after that, or after I'm done editing, hopefully it'll be like perfectly right into the beginning of the game. Can't wait. It'll be good. Again, really appreciate you filling in for Dylan and Ben this week. Otherwise, it was just going to be me, which I did do once, but that's not ideal.
That's tough.
Yeah, as much as I love hearing myself talk, I think it's good for the viewers to have someone
a little back and forth.
Yeah,
no harm in that.
Exactly. So, really appreciate it, and everyone listening, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.